The UK stands at a crossroads. The promise of a brighter future outside the European Union, painted in broad strokes during the 2016 referendum, feels distant. The economic landscape is uncertain. The pound fluctuates like a ship in stormy seas. Businesses grapple with new regulations, and the free movement of people, once a cornerstone of British life, is no more. The rosy picture of taking back control has faded. The reality of Brexit bites, leaving many questioning the decisions made and the path ahead. The economic and political landscape is vastly different from that pre-2016. The question now arises, is there a way back? Despite the challenges, the idea of rejoining the EU is met with mixed reactions. The referendum, though decisive, revealed a nation deeply divided. The scars of that division remain, making any future decisions about the UK's relationship with the EU incredibly complex. But amidst the uncertainty, a glimmer of hope emerges. A growing number of voices backed by economic data and expert analysis suggest that rejoining the EU could be the key to unlocking a more prosperous and stable future for Britain. The economic arguments for rejoining the EU are compelling. Membership would provide access to the single market, a trading bloc of 27 countries and over 440 million consumers. This access could boost UK exports, attract foreign investment, and create jobs. The free movement of people, while a point of contention for some, could also provide a much-needed boost to the UK workforce. Sectors grappling with labour shortages could see relief, while businesses would benefit from a wider pool of talent. Economists rejoining the EU would also mean aligning with the bloc's regulatory framework. This alignment could reduce trade barriers and bureaucracy for UK businesses, making them more competitive on the global stage. It would also provide a level of stability and predictability that has been sorely lacking since Brexit. However, the path to rejoining is not without its obstacles. The EU itself would need to agree to the UK's application, and the terms of re-entry would need to be negotiated. This process could take years and would require significant political will on both sides. Rejoining the EU is not a simple matter of turning back the clock. There would be hurdles to overcome, concessions to make, and compromises to be struck. The UK would need to accept the EU's rules and regulations, including the free movement of people, which was a key issue in the Brexit referendum. The UK would also need to commit to adopting the euro as its currency, a move that is likely to be unpopular with some sections of the population. Politician. The financial implications of rejoining, including the UK's contribution to the EU budget, would also need to be carefully considered. Despite the challenges, the potential benefits of rejoining the EU are significant. A stronger economy, a more prosperous society, and a more influential role on the world stage are all within reach. But achieving these benefits will require careful planning, political courage, and a willingness to compromise. The decision of whether or not to rejoin the EU is ultimately a matter for the British people. It is a decision that will shape the future of the UK for generations to come. As the debate continues, it is essential that all sides engage in a respectful and informed dialogue, weighing the potential benefits and drawbacks carefully.
The political landscape in the UK remains as divided as ever on the issue of Europe. While some see rejoining the EU as the only viable path to economic recovery and political stability, others remain steadfast in their belief that Brexit was the right decision.
The Conservative Party, which has been in power since 2010, remains largely committed to Brexit, despite growing concerns about its economic impact. The Labour Party, while officially in favour of a closer relationship with the EU, is internally divided on the issue of rejoining. This division within the main political parties reflects the wider divisions within British society.
The debate over the UK's relationship with the EU is often portrayed as a binary choice between leave and remain, but the reality is far more complex. There is a spectrum of views on this issue, with many people falling somewhere in between the two extremes. Some may support the idea of rejoining the EU, but have concerns about the terms of membership. Others may be open to the idea of closer economic ties with the EU, without necessarily wanting to rejoin the bloc.
The Brexit referendum exposed deep divisions within British society. These divisions were not simply about the UK's relationship with the EU, but reflected broader anxieties about globalization, immigration, and national identity.
Rejoining the EU, while potentially beneficial for the UK economy, would not automatically heal these divisions. If anything, it could exacerbate them if not handled carefully. It is essential that any decision to rejoin the EU is taken with the full consent and understanding of the British people. This means engaging in a meaningful dialogue with all sections of society, addressing people's concerns, and building a consensus around the way forward. It also means tackling the underlying issues that fueled the Brexit vote, such as inequality, social mobility, and the perceived loss of control over national borders.
Ultimately, the success of any attempt to rejoin the EU will depend not only on the economic and political arguments, but also on the ability to bring the country together and heal the divisions that have plagued British society for far too long.
The decision of whether or not to rejoin the EU is perhaps the most consequential one facing the UK in a generation. It is a decision that will have profound implications for the UK's economy, its place in the world, and the very fabric of British society.
There are no easy answers, no quick fixes. The path ahead will be challenging, regardless of the choice made. But by engaging in a thoughtful and respectful debate, by listening to the concerns of all sides, and by being willing to compromise, the UK can navigate this difficult period and emerge stronger on the other side.
The future of the UK remains unwritten. The choices made today will determine the course of the nation for decades to come. It is a time for courage, for vision, and above all, for unity. The stakes have never been higher. The decisions made in the coming months and years will reverberate for generations. It is a time for clear thinking, for informed debate, and for leadership that puts the interests of the nation above all else.
This is a defining moment in British history. The decisions we make today will have far-reaching consequences for our economy, our society, and our place in the world. It is vital that we are all informed about the issues at stake and that we engage in a constructive and respectful debate about the future of our country. Subscribe now to stay updated on the latest developments and analysis on this critical issue. Let your voice be heard and join the national conversation that will shape the future of Britain.